the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, March 1st, 2021 to order. In accordance with the governor's executive orders, this is being conducted via Zoom. First order of business, Pledge of Allegiance. Charles, would you lead us? I think the flag is somewhere behind me. There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlie. Item 2, public forum. Not sure there's anyone from the public here.
Is here
Okay.
from the public? I don't know if my
yeah.
camera's not working.
Okay. Who is that? Is this Danielle?
Yes, hi, Matt.
Good morning, Danielle. How are
Good
you?
morning. Good, thank you.
All right, anybody wishing to address the board in public forum? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 3, and that is to approve the minutes of the February 16th, 2021 meeting, the regular meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Comments, questions, changes, etc.
I have one correction to item 3, the January 27 budget workshop. I had made a comment about vehicle requests, and it says that asked that those could be put together and be consistent. I think I had said, and certainly intended to say, where needs were similar. So it could be consistent where needs were similar, and asked that has happened. I'm sure I mentioned if somebody needed like 4-wheel drive or a bigger clearance that, they could make a pitch for a pickup truck, but I'd like that clarification.
Got it. Thank you. Any others? All right, let me try your minds as amended by Lou's comment. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Item 4, Town Engineer Janice Plasiak. Item 4.1 is to remove from the table and take possible action on award of bid number 7-2021 Sawmill Road over the West River Bridge, state project number 00590166. I would entertain a motion to take all 3 of those items off the table, since we put them on the table with a single motion the last time. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a
Second.
second? We have a second. Let me try your minds, Selectman Haverda. I
Aye.
mean, Selectman Federici. Sorry, I went out of order.
Charlie's good. I'm also an aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Thank you. That motion carries. All right, item 1, remove from the table and take possible action on award of bid number 2021 Sawmill Road over the West River Bridge, state project number 0059-0166. Janice, would you be so kind?
Sure. So we put this project out to bid. It's for the construction of the bridge project, following all the federal and state guidelines. And we had 8 bidders, and the lowest bid was Analysis Construction at $2,513,775. There was a review of all the bids by our design consultant as well as DOT for completeness of bid, and Zanalis was found to be in compliance. And we did receive a letter from the state of Connecticut DOT authorizing us to award the contract to Zanalis.
Have we, are we open to questions?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Janice, I don't recognize this name. Have we done work with them before?
I have done work with them before in Branford. They had done a project for me near the train station to do some sidewalk and guardrail work. They are qualified per the DOT requirements for being registered to do this type of bridge construction. And they have done other bridge projects as well as other large infrastructure projects in the state.
Have they done any bridges locally or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay,
Not
so, but
local.
they're, I mean, obviously building a bridge is substantially different than building sidewalks, so you do have a comfort level though?
Yes, yeah, I mean, based on their qualifications from the statewide work they've done, yes, they're qualified to do the work, and we're looking forward to moving the project forward.
Do we actually ask, you know, I mean, I'm sure they include references, but do we actually contact the references at all at this level, or do we do that later on, or?
Well, if they meet the
Well-
meet the requirements of the bid, including the certifications, and the certifications that they had to have was that they have heavy infrastructure work experience, and that is done through a DOT process. So based on that, there would be no basis to throw out their bid, say. You know?
Right, you know, it's substantial enough difference, and I don't have a problem with that. It's just I would have liked to have found a way to have a discussion with somebody they've done work with, just for your own comfort level and how easy they were to work with if there were any questions. I mean, sometimes people do the job, but you know, are not easy to work with. So if you have a good comfort level, so.
We don't have necessarily that much leeway with that decision on this project, Charlie, because
Okay.
it's federally funded and we have to really follow the guidelines of the funding and the DOT. Certainly, if it was a locally funded project, we would have a little more leeway to include those types of, review of references and things like that. But based on this process and the way the bidding is set up for federally funded projects, it's very hard to not accept the low bidder if they're
Okay.
qualified.
But you said you've worked with this company anyway, and it sounds
Mhm.
like you have a decent comfort level with their personnel.
Yes, so, yep.
Okay.
Janice,
Okay.
let me ask it another way. If this was not a reputable, or if there were problems with this contractor in the past, would they make the cut in terms of DOT?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'll move. What do we need? A motion here?
Yes, please. Sue, did you have something?
I had a comment, but I guess we should make the motion and second it before we discuss further.
So Charles has made the
I'll
motion.
move it. Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sue?
I just wanted to, not to belabor this, but I want to reiterate the concerns about the lack of bridge experience. I've looked on their website. They have a portfolio and lists of projects and references, and there's no mention of a bridge. I understand the points about the process with federal funding and so on, but certainly if we have to approve this, we do have a part in the process. And if it's a fact that this organization has never worked on a bridge project, but we don't think that's a problem, I think we should be explicit about that. We should know, and we should all agree that that's okay with us.
Any other comments?
But Janice, you
with the-
said that they have done bridges.
It was my understanding that from the review done by DOT that they had done some bridge work in the past.
So it might
Okay.
be an issue of them updating their website.
It might be, but should we
don't
find
know.
out?
You're right.
The-
We know
the
for sure.
company- Yeah, the company I know has gone through some change of ownership in recent years. It used to be a family-owned company, and I think it changed ownership, although I have interacted with some family members with the names and Alice involved in the project. So, but
Mhm.
I can't really speak to the fact of, individual, what bridge they did or didn't do, in terms of that.
Okay, I mean, if it was me,
Totally.
if it was me building a bridge in my backyard, I would want to be very sure that they had done one. Unless, and I don't know anything about building bridges, but unless somebody who knows more than I do can say it doesn't make any difference. And that's not what I'm hearing.
Well, I can tell you, I did have experience with a contractor who never built a bridge before in a project in Brantford. And it was a little painful at times, but it actually got done, and it was a successful project done in budget and on time. So I think the volume of experience they have with infrastructure projects, if maybe not exactly this type of bridge, I think would speak to the fact that they met the qualifications from DOT standpoint to award the contract. And
All right, let's go at this from a different level. If worst case scenario, it's not as warm, it doesn't turn out to be as warm as fuzzy as we hope. What are, what consequences would there be other than we end up with a not 100% bridge?
We'll have a performance bond that they have to post, that they're responsible for posting. And there are project milestones, which is why we have hired, I believe it's Attain.
WMC will be doing the inspection services, as well as Attain will be involved to do any design reviews of shop drawings and things like that. So we do have a team working on this project with Attain as the design engineers, seeing through construction for submittal reviews by the contractor, as well as WMC, which is another engineering firm who will be doing contract administration and inspection for the project full-time on site. So it's not like we just give the guy the plans and say, go build it. It's a very well oversought process of shop drawing submittals. Schedule has to be established with milestones. And if things go awry, there's ways to certainly, bring them to task.
This may be too simplistic, but would it be worth during the course of this meeting, so we don't have to table this again, to just make a call and ask them? I mean, if they truly had done some bridge work and it's just not listed on their resume, Sue, that would go more. I mean, if with all the qualifications being met, which Janice has stated, and then the bridge work was there, that might make you feel more comfortable, or all of us feel more comfortable. I just wonder if that's an easy, you could reach somebody and find out.
Honestly, I'd say this, and I apologize, I don't have the name of the work that they've done in front of me to address this, but we really don't have a reason to not award the bid to them. They've met all the criteria. They have the certifications from DOT to do this type of work. They have a wealth of work in their resume for infrastructure work. So we would be putting ourselves in some jeopardy on the funding side of this project to not award it to them at this time, even if we can find that they did not do a similar bridge project. So I just caution that we have, while we are spending, 20% match of local funds on this project, which isn't a small amount of money, the process is very well controlled. I mean, we had to wait for this letter to be authorized to award from DOT and all the rest of it. It's very well controlled by DOT in terms of how it has to go because of the federal funding aspect of it. And not only to award the project, but to hopefully make you feel better as we move forward with construction, is there is an enormous amount of oversight of the project by not only our engineers, my office, but also DOT inspectors. It's a very collaborative process to get this bridge built, and there's specific testing requirements, oversight and inspection. Everything has to be well documented moving forward. Submittal of shop drawings before anything, submittal of shop drawings that has to be approved by our engineers as well as reviewed by DOT before things can actually be built. So it's not like we just give them the plans and say, go build this, and then we see what we get at the end. So with that, and having had the experience, if indeed this company doesn't list a bridge specifically as in their wheelhouse, having had the experience personally in Branford working with a contractor who had not as much infrastructure experience even as this firm, and still have them be able to successfully complete a bridge project, it leaves me to feel confident that we move forward with this contractor as a low bidder to proceed with the project.
Okay, I don't want to belabor this, and I don't want to micromanage it, and I made the motion, and I'll stand by the motion because 2 reasons. Everybody's got to have a first time, and Janice, you seem very confident about it, and I made the motion, so I'm ready to move forward.
And if you would allow me for a minute, Pete Barrett just actually sent an email that they actually built a bridge in Westbrook, Connecticut.
Okay,
There's an article, 2019.
perfect.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete.
Somebody does need, their website is a little bare bones. That's the problem.
Well, maybe they're good construction people and not good at constructing websites.
The only other thing that sends up a red flag to me, but I'm being very confident in Janice is that the issue about the company changing hands. That could be a good thing or it could be a not so good thing. But 2019 to build a bridge, everybody's got to have a first shot. So
You're right. Yeah, good point, Joe.
Listen, I can just sort of add in anecdotally. I know this operation. That's not just a construction company. It's a construction company, a supply yard. They have a retail store. They have multiple business lines, and it's a really pretty substantial operation. This is no representation as to personal experience with them in the business, but I happen to know it. And it's not just like Johnny come lately, I guess, is what.
What kind of a retail store would they have?
A retail, like a equipment store. You go in if you need like a construction generator, you can go in and buy it. Or if you need like, other equipment related to, construction work basically, or, heavy duty home stuff. You could go buy a tractor, that kind of thing. I've been there.
All right. I've made the motion. It's all I can do.
Good. Okay, and we have a second. So if we've exhausted the conversation, I'll try your minds. Selectman Federici,
I'm in favor.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. 4.2 is to take action on the town state agreement for the Sawmill Road Bridge project. Janice, this is a state formality.
Right, so in order to, move forward with the project and the funding, we had an original agreement. Well, we have a general agreement with DOT to, have projects move forward with the funding from the feds administered by them. We have a project authorization letter to move to this phase of the project for construction, which we received the day of your last meeting. So that's why we weren't able to, we had to table it last time. And it basically just reiterates our standing contract with them. And then it's an amendment in that they reiterate the participating costs, which was the attachment for the project, which includes construction, all the incidentals to construction, which includes, anything in terms of our hiring WMC to do the inspection services, as well as all the DOT charges that get applied to this project, because DOT will be involved, as I stated earlier, in terms of doing oversight, inspections, material testings, reviews and audits, and all that. So coming to a final cost and what we're required to contribute to the project is what this project authorization letter contains.
Any questions on that? Is there a motion to authorize me to sign that document with the state for the Sawmill Road Bridge project?
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? We try your minds, Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. And then the 4.3 is take possible action on LoSiP funds for local match with regard to the Sawmill Road Bridge project. Janice, you and I had gone back and forth last week on this. The local funding, our 20% has been accumulating in LoSiP funds, is what I understand.
That's correct. Yep.
And
so-
go ahead.
We've been saving up our LoSiP funds over past several years to have the local match for construction for this project be from LoSiP funding. So we do have to submit to, you have to take action to approve it as the board, and then we'll have to submit to the state to get them to authorize the use of those funds for the local match, but it meets the criteria for LoSiP funding.
And just, Janice, just as a point of clarification, this is for LoSiP funds that have already been granted and allocated to the town in the respective biennial budgets that were passed by the state legislature. So this is money that we have accrued. Mary Jane probably has it in a fund somewhere. And even though that will, what we have currently would not be enough to cover the 20% match. However, in the governor's most recent budget address and budget proposal, he has indicated that we will be receiving some $137,900 in LoSiP funds for each of the next 2 years in the new biennial budget.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's counting the 2021 allocation as well. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good. All right. Any questions? Is there a motion to authorize me to request that the state release those funds, the LoSiP funds for this project?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments, et cetera? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Have a good day. Item 5, discuss and take possible action on the sale of a 1993, not 2993, excuse me, 223-D Toro Groundmaster lawnmower, and approve the bid of $800 for that used Toro Groundmaster lawnmower. This is one that was replaced a couple of years ago. Pete, I think Vicky and you did the bid on this, and the only bidder, was it the only bidder, or was that the highest bidder?
Yeah, I think that was the only bidder, Matt.
Okay,
Pretty sure.
all right. All right, is there a motion to approve the sale of the 1993 Toro lawn mower for the amount of $800?
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
move it.
I'll second.
And the second, questions, comments? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectwoman, I'm sorry.
Renner.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye.
Sorry. That's all right.
Get my gender pronouns appropriate here. And Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, discussion and take possible action on bonded projects to be recommended to the Board of Finance. Mary Jane, you want to just go where we were as of the last, where we are?
Okay, so I sent you guys, and you'll see on board pack, the listing of all capital projects, and in particular, the bonded items. You'll see there was the adjustment made on the new sheet to the 2 items from the public safety that were discussed. I sent you all the paperwork that was provided for those 2 updates, as well as putting those numbers in there. The only item on this list that I just wanted to touch upon is at the very end, the police department boiler upgrade. I have those dollars in the bottom line at the moment, but I do have funding in current bonded money. So if you agree that that's a project to do, I can do that now, but I'm just leaving that there for discussion purposes. So the total between the 2 years with that is just over $5 million. And, you know, if you take 90,000 out, that would be that. So the town has typically done 2 years of bonding. So I have those two columns here. Obviously you guys can do whatever you think is best. If you have any questions on any particular line item, we can certainly discuss them.
All right, let me open it up.
Well, let me just ask a question. So right now, we are simply discussing the bond package, the items in the light blue. Okay,
Yep.
so this is not the sort of the conversation we tabled at our last meeting with regard to whether we were approving the entire 5-year plan and what that meant if we were doing it.
Right,
Correct.
that's a different item on today's
That's
agenda.
another discussion. Okay, so right now it's just, do we think these bonding proposals for the 2?
Right, we're specifically looking at the first two columns, the 2022 bonds and the 2023 bonds.
Got it.
Okay.
So on top of what we have, the Board of Education has put forth $6.2 million in bonding for fiscal 22. So that will also be included in the all of the paperwork that we get from bond counsel and your approvals. But for today, I'm really looking for just the town portion so that we can move forward.
And just another couple logistics things. This bonding, these bonding projects, the money doesn't get, I choose my words carefully, doesn't get spent, right, until
Correct.
the process works its
So-
way through, and we don't begin an obligation potentially for a number of years, a couple years at least.
Correct. The town has historically, and we continue to bond to reimburse ourselves for expenses that we have incurred. So each year when we come forward to you with a request to actually go out and buy bonds, it's for the amount that we would have paid for during that last calendar year cycle for when, you know, whenever we do that. So although these will be authorized to be spent and we can move forward with them as soon as they're approved at referendum, typically it can sometimes take 2, 3, sometimes 5 years before actually bonding money for these projects.
So these bonds that would be approved, first of all, may or may not get entirely spent, and certainly don't affect debt service next year, say. This is spread out over some time.
Correct. I would doubt very much that these items would come to play in August's bond authorization. That would be a little bit too quick for that to happen. And I'll just say, yes, you are correct. With one comment you made that these items might not totally be spent. The items have to be spent for what we have approved them for. We often go to bond counsel to request that some of the remaining funds be used for a similar project, but that all has to go through approvals through our bond counsel and through this process.
And the Board of Finance is heard from on that topic as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, and quite the requests that we have before us are very specific, and it does not look like even creative wordsmithing by bond counsel will allow for use of these funds for anything but what is designated there. You know, road improvement projects, you know, pretty. You can't use this to buy you know, light bulbs. The Lake Quantapug Dam, which I think Janice talked to you about, is that's for engineering work related to the potential replacement of that dam, which you see in the out years, 2024. The 2 additional bays at fire headquarters, pretty specific. The replacement for the training facility is very specific. The roof replacement at the library, those 2 trucks, the fuel tanks, the above ground fuel tanks, because of the end of life with DEP on our underground storage tanks. And actually those, I think, as you may recall, have the capacity to be moved to a new public works facility should that materialize in the near or midterm. And then lastly, the boiler upgrade at police department, very specific. So you know, some of the bond language that we've used in the past, particularly as it relates to school safety, school construction, health improvement upgrades, has had some flexibility to it. I don't see that flexibility here.
Mary Jane, can you just refresh my memory? Going forward, assuming it's a referendum or something or whatever on the budget, do we present them as individual lines requests for each bonding package, or is it a lump sum with a board of education in town? I forgot how the questions are on the ballot.
Matt, did you want to answer that? It looked like you were.
Yeah, there'd be multiple questions, Charles. And
I
then
have 3.
It's a bond council is suggesting 3 between 2 entities.
Yeah, I have 3 so far. So all of the Board of Ed projects fall under facility improvements. So there will be one question for that. As far as the town, we will break out the 2 trucks for vehicles and equipments, and all of the other items are considered facility improvements. So there'll be 3 separate questions on the ballot, unless after further consideration with bond council that changes, but that's the recommendation at the moment.
So 3 questions combined. Okay.
I have a question. The two new bays for the fire department, if that public safety building goes forward, which I realize is still in the early stages, didn't they say those 2 bays would be subsumed in that? I thought.
Right, and I think that has been replaced. I don't, Mary Jane has not updated this, well, the document.
I can't even find them on my chart.
These are the new numbers from Mike Shove, 1072.3.
Yeah, so that is the new proposal.
Right. Yeah, I found that, but I was trying to, I didn't think we would have a separate thing for the bays.
We are not, and that's my fault. Reading. I was using that as an example of how specific it was. No, that has been replaced by the $1,072,300 for the 4 storage bays, which are shared equally with the police department.
Right, right.
And if Sandy, if you're all set, can I jump in?
Yeah.
Well, and that's in the fiscal year 22-23, correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and just for what the training facility is part of that whole plan, or is that a whole separate other thing?
It's two separate projects.
Okay, all right.
And where would that be? Would that be at the same? That wouldn't be at the same spot. That would be.
It is anticipated to be at the same site in the back behind the fire department.
That's right.
Over to the back right, as I understand.
Okay.
Here is sort of juxtaposed close to the the animal control shelter. So it's going back there. However, I still think there are some land use hurdles that they may have to consider to get that approved.
Okay.
There are wetlands back there.
Everybody's anticipating my questions, which is at this point, all we're doing is approving this for bonding. All the building approval processes are still in front of us, and exactly how this looks and where it sits still has to go through all the normal.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because there was some discussion about, what you mean, somebody sort of mentioned casually, it might go like where the basketball courts were, and those specific proposals still have to come out of the fire department,
Exactly. Fire and police. It's both
fire and police.
Yeah.
for that facility.
And I will just add that this is just authorization for these projects. If 2 years from now, that training facility, it's decided that that project will not go forward, then we would come back and potentially reallocate that money into a new project. They would have to go through all this same process.
So if we hadn't decided to go on this kind of every other year timing, we wouldn't be looking at this now. We'd be looking at it a year from now.
Yeah.
We're kind of early in the process for it. So my first thought about all of this was that it's a lot to be asking people to approve when added to all the Board of Ed items and our own budget. So I was kind of thinking, and I talked myself out of it, but I was kind of thinking maybe those items could be postponed to the next 2-year phase, because it's my understanding that we're not at risk by not having those. I mean, it's more convenient, it's protective of our expensive equipment and so on. It's, the training would be better. So I was thinking, could we put that off? But then I'm looking at the next 2 years, and we've got Lake Quantico Dam is the huge one in here, and a fire engine. So it doesn't really make any sense to try to, if we're going on the 2-year, doesn't really make sense to wait.
So not to talk you out of it, but there is some anticipation that we would be going after some federal and state money for the dam. So I would not anticipate that full amount in that year. Clearly, and I had some not reservations, but I think there was at the last Board of Finance meeting, there was some discussion about the training facility, particularly as it related to the standing building committees weighing in on the viability of the project as it was priced. And one of the things that they were talking about was the potential for this to be a revenue generating facility, because other fire departments around the state, or more likely the region, would be likely to use it, because there is a dearth of fire training facilities statewide. And then I think you saw in the write-up, there is potentially some cost avoidance in terms of overtime for sending guys out to other facilities, and then travel and the related stuff. I'm not sure that we're going to save $537,000 over the next couple of years, but perhaps on a much longer term basis, if this facility does in fact meet the definition of a bonded project, because it's going to be there for 20 years at least, there probably is a possibility that it will pay for itself over time.
Makes sense.
But I was disappointed that we didn't see any projected revenue numbers on that. I think we could probably have the fire department make that, have that discussion tomorrow night at the hearing, or whenever the Board of Finance talks about the bonded projects.
And just to review what Lou said, in case people are tuning into this meeting and catch it in scraps, all these things, these would come to a vote before town meeting, wouldn't they? A building like the I forget what it's called, the public safety building. I mean, there's like you said, there's many hurdles in front of this besides financial in terms of approvals and going forward, correct?
No town meeting would be required once the bonding authorization is granted. That project now is at the discretion of the departments, and then the eventual bonding decision by the Board of Finance. Or
the land use agencies.
Land use agencies, yes, but not town meeting.
Okay, all right. I just want
not an overall town meeting where people are going to get to vote on it again.
Okay.
Right. And also the tax burden phases in starting years from now,
Right.
as the remaining, the Guilford High School bonds decrease.
Start to drop.
But
Yeah.
that's something that you would normally have in a presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You normally have that slide showing. Yeah.
We do.
Okay. All right.
Good.
Okay, great.
So can we, make a decision, at least one right away, on that police department boiler upgrade. We had discussed using current bonded money for that. Is that something we'd like to continue to do? And we can take those numbers right out of that bottom line?
Yes, I would think so.
So Mary Jane, that goes to your very point that you mentioned earlier. Sometimes there's previous bonds that have additional funding left over, and if it's a sufficiently similar use, the money from previous years can get rolled over to that.
Correct. The town had bonded or authorized bonding for a number of years for upgrades to energy upgrades to any and all town buildings. And since this is an HVAC or a boiler project, it falls within that particular line item, and we have money to support this expense, so we are able to use it.
Sounds like the system working at its finest.
Yep. Good. So that's out, right, Mary Jane?
Yes.
How about the two replacement dump trucks at the same time rather than phasing them? Well, we've discussed that previously. Is there any?
Yeah, I think we could probably do one a year, one of each of the 2 years. If that's the, if that's the preference.
The thing is, the entire bond, that doesn't change the bond proposal.
Right. So
Right.
we would have,
Money hits the
Right.
books.
right,
Yeah, 1
we-
year doesn't, yeah.
We as a board would have the authority to authorize the expenditure in 1 year or over 2 years when Public Works comes back to us.
Right, because it still would require a bidding process, and you would be asked to, award the bid for that.
So would you feel more comfortable moving it out into the next year in at least the column?
I guess so. Yeah, it doesn't really matter much in the overall scheme of things, but sure, if we could do that.
Okay.
Although maybe it's better the way it is.
Yeah.
In the light year.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, in some ways.
yeah.
And just okay, let's keep talking with the individual items. The Chimney Corners Coastal Resilience. We have also applied for funding through the Council of Governments, the lot SIP program, which is different from the low SIP program. I wish they weren't so close, but they are infrastructure funded projects. These are the ones the state allocates through the Council of Governments, and we have been approved for funding for the Chimney Corners Coastal Resilience. That project has been approved. Actually, it's been submitted through the COG, and the COG will prioritize that for Guilford, because the way it works with the Council of Governments is the 15-member towns all get a bite at the apple every couple of years for projects that need to be taken care of. So this is all out of the Special Transportation Fund, State Special Transportation Fund. Any other questions or discussions on specific points or projects?
They seem closely tailored to immediate needs to me.
Right. All right.
So I just wanted to add that once you approve these numbers, I do have a conversation with our financial advisors, and we will be adding bonding costs into these numbers. So the numbers that we would eventually come to you in the final hour would also include bonding costs, so that you might see a slight difference there.
Yeah, so the issuance costs, both the issuance costs and the advisory costs with bond counsel.
Yes.
All right. Good. Okay. So Sue, your call. Do you want to move that one of those trucks into 2023 for parents' sake, or is you comfortable leaving where it is?
Leave it. I think leave it.
Okay. So Mary Jane, do you have a new number for us now that we've removed the 90,410?
4,968,835 total.
4,000,000.
4,968,835.
Sounds a lot better starting with a 4 rather than a 5.
It really does.
Just Earl Scheib, paint your car, 99.99. It does. Good call.
I hate to ask these kind of questions, and I suppose if I had a better access to records, but we're just historically, have we, our bond, the last 3 or 4 bond requests, have they been closer to 2 million or closer to 5 million? Hard to know off the top of your head, I know.
Oh, I have a book for that. Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah, not electronic, but a book. Got that, Lou?
binders are handy.
They can be, because you can actually put your hands on it.
I know, that's the thing. Can I put my hands on it? All right, it's gone missing. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. My sense is this is on the higher end.
This is on the higher end than what I think we've been used to seeing. No question.
Right. And to a certain extent, it seems to me part of that is that everybody's been on the brake pedal a little bit as we digest the school. So there's a little bit of release of accumulated pressure here.
Yeah.
So in the 1920 fiscal year, which would have been the last time we bonded, the town had also 2 questions, the same thing, for replacement of vehicles and equipment, 2.4 million, and for roads and site improvements, 1.1 million.
So 3.5 all in.
The 3.5.
So
That was the last time we went out to bond.
1,400,000 beyond that, but again, there's some chunky items in here that I think they're just hard to avoid.
Great.
Matt, can I throw out one little thing? So we have this $1 million for the coastal resilience. We do have some money that we put aside in fund balance. Is that for a different project?
I believe it is. I believe that was for the Falcon Road. I think we're going to use that for Falcon Road.
Okay.
So. All right. Well, if we're at that point, is there a motion to move our 2-year bond package to the Board of Finance in the amount of $4,968,835 for the items that we have discussed and are soon to be on the updated 5-year capital improvement plan document?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Second. Any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Okay. Item 7, discussion on revisions to the proposed fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Mary Jane, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, so the changes you see, I think are highlighted in a different color. It's related to the SAFER grant. Let me just pull it. So we've done the estimates, and we estimate that in fiscal year 22, we will get reimbursement through the SAFER grant for a total of $151,000. Now, some of those reimbursements were already estimated through our benefits line in anticipation of receiving that that reimbursement, but you'll see some additional changes to the benefit lines that don't amount to a lot of money, like I said, because some of that's already in there. But the biggest change is in the fire department itself, with almost $102,000 being reimbursed through full-time salaries and another $4,200 through stipends. So showing all of the safer reimbursement adjustments. We have a new number at the bottom of a total request from the town of $42,823,859, or 2.17% increase.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Now, obviously, we're not kicking the can down the road, but delaying the inevitable. Next year, there's not probably not going to be extended beyond that. The total grant that was originally awarded will now have been expended. However, it does give us a little relief this year, knowing that next year we're going to need to make up that difference when we do this same routine next year. So, any questions or comments on that?
Remarkable how little it moves the needle.
Yeah.
You're right.
So-
You're right.
Could we think about doing what we've discussed in the past, which we know is the right way to do it, which is showing that grant money as a revenue instead of as a reduction in expenditures?
Sue, I love the way you think. I challenged Mary Jane with that very question last week. Mary Jane?
Sue, you know me, I'm the first one to say I don't like those. And so you'll be surprised to hear me say, for consistency's sake, I'd like to keep it this way. Because we have done it 3 years this way. And, like I said, just for consistency, we know where to find it. If we change it in year 4, then I always like to say, where am I going to look for something 5 years from now? 5 years from now, I would expect to see it in the same way because of the other 3 years. It's the only reason I'm going to give it, because I don't like it either.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Sue. And Charlie, you're absolutely right. It doesn't move the needle much, but it does move it a little bit. The overall mill rate impact goes from a 1.21% increase to a 1.1% increase. So, a tenth of a mil. Still something, but not what you would hope. And again, we still don't know what the Board of Finance is going to do to this budget. I'm sure we'll find out probably a little later this week. But nonetheless, it has come down. So
will these numbers be presented to the Board of Finance, or are they going to do at their workshop? Or are they going to work off the numbers we've given them?
They're going to get these new numbers. We're revising our presentation to reflect the new numbers. And so what I guess I'm asking is, or would like, is this board to endorse or make a motion and allow me to represent our budget to the Board of Finance with these numbers in it, with these modifications. We don't have to do it. This is there are potential for other adjustments right up until the time that particularly on the revenue side, right up until the time that the Board of Finance makes their decision.
Well,
These are the true numbers, so I think you should. And it's taking it from 1.21 to 1.1. So why not? You said it's small, but it's going down, not up. So
right.
I hope that
the only discussion is that if the Board of Finance were to make some adjustments, would this be a calculation before or after? But,
unfortunately, they already know about it.
Way.
Yeah.
They know about it already.
well,
the cat's out of the bag.
That's right. So
I think it's very forthcoming of us to present it this way. I'm sure we could have, and a lot of towns would keep this thing in the back pocket, and we're not doing that. So hopefully we'll get credit for that. Some level, some non-financial level.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, I think the I think the way the presentation might need to go is for us to present the numbers as were approved and published in the paper. And then maybe a slide that says, since then, this is
That's
what,
fine.
this is what we've done. But, we can, Matt and Tracy and I,
And that's
and Karen will
effectively
work on
what we
that.
have to do, to be as transparent as we have to be, and
Right.
it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
Because we did put in the paper the numbers we already have, so we would want to make it
those were the
clear.
numbers at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't remember
right.
seeing it in the paper. What?
So is there an,
Susan, it was in the register, sure, the one that gets dropped at the plastic bag at your driveway.
what nobody reads? Sorry, Jesse. No, that's not your newspaper. That's right.
That's not Jesse's paper.
That's not Jesse's paper. That's right.
Everyone reads Jesse's paper.
All right. Would someone entertain a motion to authorize me to present not only the originally proposed budget, but a revised based on information that has come to our attention since we made the first move?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Havertz,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Thank you all. Good discussion. Item 8, discuss and take possible action on 5-year capital plan. Sue, I'm going to sort of turn this over to you, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, sure. I guess I'm the one who brought this up. Yeah, I have a couple things I wanted to ask about that I could start off with. Is there anything on here for the moving of public works?
At this point, no.
How about the idea of making a notation somewhere on the document itself does not include? For some,
Or we just put a line in there without any funding on it, right?
yeah, with a X on it or something, and yeah, unspecified future, yeah. Yeah, I
That's
like the idea of doing that. It keeps it on the radar, and we're not making any representations that we know more than we really do about timing and cost. And I would suggest the other one that we keep pushing off and pushing off and pushing off is the Bullard Drive extension. I don't know if that might fall into the same kind of category. It's kind of foolish to keep it on there and never
Right.
deal with it. So just a thought about that. The other thing I wanted to ask about is the building on Church Street next to Parks and Recreation. Is there anything that we're able to put on here for that one?
Yeah, we are going back and forth. The engineering group team is going back and forth. And actually, we just lost the assistant town engineer whose project this was. She has decided to retire. But we've been going back and forth, Janice, the assistant town engineer, with the historic district folks, because there are some concerns about that building representing mid-century modern architecture. There is some that asked for consideration that we retain some, all or some of the structure. So we're working through that process right now. And again, it is not close. It's not real close to a resolution. We have some challenges. And the last thing I want to do is and again, this is a public meeting. We're trying to work cooperatively with the historic district to determine the best use of that property and any retention of something that they find to be of significant architectural relevance.
Matt, when this is finally resolved, does the HDC decision take precedence over what our engineering department may recommend?
Yes, they have some broad statutory authority, which, at this point, I'm just going to suggest we're trying to determine, trying to avoid having to have them deny something that we want to do.
I understand. Yeah. I mean,
There's a read of the statutes, and I haven't engaged Pete yet on this issue. because I don't want it to be at that level right yet.
Right. Could the building, is one solution moving that building somewhere to maintain the building but not maintain it there?
There are provisions in the statute around moving it, so the answer is yes.
That's interesting.
Question is, at whose cost?
I know.
Mhm. Wow.
And secondly, where do you put it?
Hmm.
Quite honestly, it has been the recommendation of the Facilities Task Force, as well as both our engineering and facilities teams, that building is not one that can be rehabbed for any purposes that the town would find beneficial.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, you don't want me to publicly answer where to put it, so I'm just listening to what you're saying.
I'm just a little bit curious as to the process by which, I mean, it's very important to have independent town boards and commissions in towns. We have a historic district. They are heard from. They raise this question of whether there's some historical significance to this. What's the arbitrator to resolving that question? What's the step by which that issue is raised and then processed and then concluded?
Well, we're in that process now. The issue has been raised prior to a formal presentation. These have been design considerations. We gave them 3 different design considerations with one recommendation. All of them included taking down the building. So that is, we're in the discussion phase now. The statutorily defined process relative to who has the ultimate authority on that, again, is a question that I'm not prepared to answer at this point because I don't know the answer to it.
Okay. But there is, at some point, there's an end game, right? I mean, there's a way of bringing this to conclusion.
Yes, there will be.
Okay.
And
Obviously.
right. And the objective of this office is to have negotiations and discussions prior to engaging in legal considerations.
I'm not looking to force anybody's hands, and I hear what you're saying and why you're saying it and how you're saying it. I fully get it. But there is a process eventually of bringing it to conclusion. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
No. So Sue, I think you were getting to a point of, should that be on here as well?
Yeah, that would be my thought. Up to your judgment as to the best way to do it, but I
Yeah,
like the idea of anything that's out there being on the document.
Right.
Even if we don't have the facts yet. And then the last thing I wanted to ask about is the items that we've set aside fund balance for, if there's anything in that category that perhaps we should include here for the same reason, with the funding source appropriately noted that it would be a fund balance item. Would that make any sense? Or maybe at this point, everything's already included?
I think we've got most things included. I will check with Janice and Tom because they have the bulk of the capital stuff. So I don't think any of that would be bonded. The money we set aside would be outside of projects that are here.
Understood, but I'm wondering if it should be here anyways, with the funding source noted appropriately.
Yeah, we can pull together.
There's one specific we can do right away. Under IT, the employee self-service is one of the items that we specified we would use technology funds for.
Okay, and my other self-service. Yes,
Under IT,
yeah.
the 13,860. That's really. I'm just going through them really quickly right now.
Yeah, that's the one that jumps out.
Sometimes I don't know I have money until the time comes. Like I might not have been able to anticipate that I was going to have additional bond money for that HVAC project at the police department until it kind of comes up now and I have an idea of what we've spent. You know, that type of thing sometimes is last minute.
I see what you mean, but I think
that's one we could say we have other funding for at least.
Okay, so I think that would be useful. And then my only other thought, and again, as I said before, my concern really is that I think the items that should be on here and aren't on here are probably almost more important than the things that are on here. So kind of in that same, that's sort of where I'm coming from.
Right.
I just totally lost my train of thought.
That's okay. I think your point's very well taken. So we have earmarked, we've put aside some money for possible use. For instance, we had roads and sidewalks. Okay. I think, some of those are just placeholders for things that will be coming up. So, it's not new money that's going to need to be requested, which is, I think, the essence of this document. Is to anticipate what our new our longer term financial requests are. But if in fact some of that money will offset and allow us to diminish what's on this document, that's a fair point.
True. Okay, good. And I did think of the other thing I was wanted to ask about, which is during the operating budget presentations, we were kind of surprised by some things that we thought would have been on this document a year ago, mostly vehicles. And I just wanted to ask if you think it's possible that the department heads, or if you think that the department heads have really considered thoroughly their upcoming needs and made sure that they were on here.
Yeah, we haven't had specific discussions on that since the budget. We will. Just because it's approved does not necessarily mean it's going to get expended. It still has to go out to bid. So that review process will be taking place. I think I had a conversation, I mentioned to Lou, we're going to work with the folks in Public Works once we get over the current hurdles we have over at Public Works to define the types of models that we anticipate them using it with the consistency that Lou had said earlier.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, we could probably make some adjustments. We'll work with a couple of department heads, and Mary Jane and I will make some adjustments to this, and as opposed to trying to approve it today. So let's get you a revised document, and perhaps 2 weeks out we can bring it up again for possible approval by this board, that this is, even though it's a dynamic document, this is where we are today.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Good. Okay. Sounds like a plan. Okay, item 9, request for use of town property. 9.1 is act on a request from the Guilford Garden Club to use the Rollwood Farm for its drive-through plant sale taking place May 22nd, 2021. Is there a motion?
Matt, I'm sorry.
Yes, okay.
Do you not have the revised agenda? We added those appointments, remember, on Friday?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'll work off the electronic one. Bear with me. Okay. My apologies. Okay, appointments and resignations. 9.1 is act on a recommendation to move David Davison from alternate to regular member on the Marina Commission for a term to expire November 30th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 9.2, act on a recommendation to appoint Chris Robinson as an alternate to the Marina Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire May 30th, 2024. Lou, are you making that recommendation?
I would very much like to make that recommendation.
And I'd second it. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 9.3, act on a recommendation to appoint Beth Browse as an alternate to the Economic Development Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire April 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
I would like to make that motion, please.
You heard, and then
Second.
and a second, good. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectman Renner, Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 9.4, act on a recommendation to reappoint Bob Berger to the Shellfish Commission for a term to expire February 28th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. 9.4, act on a recommendation to reappoint Dennis Daster to the Zoning Board of Appeals for term to expire February 28th, 2025. Is there a motion? I'll
So
make
moved.
that. So Sue made it. I'll second it. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. 9.6, act on a reappointment of Greg Broderick to the Guilford Lakes Golf Course Commission for a term to expire November 30th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll make,
I'll
a
make
motion.
that.
Second.
There, got it. And seconded. Try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Okay, now we can get to the request for use of town property, item number 10. 10.1, act on a request from the Guilford Garden Club to use Rollwood Farm for its drive-through plant sale taking place May 22nd, 2021. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a
Second.
second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I'm suspecting this is reaction to COVID-19, do a
Mhm.
drive-through as opposed to their normal pop-up tent on the green. On Mother, that's not the Mother's Day one though,
Oh,
right?
that's late.
That's late, yeah.
No, that Leeds Island Garden Club is the one on the green, and this one's the Guilford Garden Club.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right, any comments or questions?
Driveway.
It just looks like there's a minor administrative detail. They got to send the insurance binder in, which I guess renews in March. So somebody will be on that, obviously.
I got that already.
Oh, what?
So right before the meeting, yeah.
Okay.
I can't picture the driveway there. Is it a?
It's a moon, it's a crescent moon.
Okay, that makes sense. One-way
Yeah.
drive-through. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I understand what they're doing. It makes some sense. It's a good open place to allow people to pick up their stuff without having to interact more than necessary.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
if
It's a great
you
idea.
have a motion, I'll make the motion.
I think I
think we did that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's done.
Actually, that's a great idea of
It
use of
is.
that facility for anybody else who may need something similar.
Mhm.
Really,
It's a great idea.
that works well.
Yeah. As long as they did it, I think, on the weekend, because of the weekday, you would have the Guilford Center for Children traffic and potentially food bank traffic, but the weekends be perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
Great. Good thinking. Okay, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 10.2, act on a request from Shabbat Lubavitch, the Shoreline, to use the green and to place a sign on the green advertising its Jewish festival taking place August 1st, 2021. Is there a motion for this hopeful request?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Yeah, assuming that crowd size gatherings of this size will be allowed at that point. I think it is providing some hope here.
I have a question though before we vote. Is this an event that has happened in the past on the green? Or is this a new event?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It happens every year.
Okay. I don't remember voting on it before, but okay.
All right, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 10.3, act on a request from Spot to use the green for its dance performance is taking place June 4th, 2021. Danielle Scarpolino, who is the proprietor of the Spot, whose team has, well, not this past year, but the previous year, performed at the tree lighting, is making this request. There is a challenge with this request, and that is that she is a for-profit organization, and typically our rules and regulations are nonprofit. Danielle, if you're still on the line, would you want to say anything?
Hi, thank you, Matt. Thank you all for your time. So I'm a brand new studio. This is our third year in business, and last year we were half in business because of COVID. We generally hold performances at the end of every year, and because of COVID, we are not able to hold performances. They're usually indoors in school auditoriums. I really would love to be able to have our students perform for their parents and their friends, and my first thought was an outdoor venue. I wanted to make it accessible. I also wanted to make a day of it for them where they could actually come to the green, enjoy the businesses around the green. And we would put a dance floor down and a tent with seating, I think in section 6. And it would be no more than 2 hours. We're not a typical recital where we have, all sorts of intermission and snacks. It would just be a place for the parents to gather to watch their children perform a 2-minute routine. And it would be an honor, honestly, to have it on the green, because we have a lot of students that are Guilford students. The Guilford Youth Cheerleading is part of my studio. We also have a lot of students from Madison, Brantford, East Haven. There's someone that drives all the way from Stratford to come to the studio. So it would bring a lot of visitors to the green who might normally not have, ever experienced our green. I know because of COVID, this is a challenge with gatherings, but I would require whatever the town thinks I need to, the masks, hand sanitizer. We could even block seating so that it would just be by families. Whatever the requirements would be, I'd be more than willing to.
How many people do you think would be in attendance, including the performers?
So I have approximately 130 dancers. So right off the bat, those would be the first numbers. Then I would assume 2 parents per child. Usually dance recitals bring in the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles. I'd be willing to limit it to 2 people per child. It's not so much a money maker.
It could be as many as 300 to 500 people.
Correct.
Is there a charge for this event?
I would charge $15 per ticket.
So,
Can I comment? I'm completely sympathetic to where you're coming from, but to me, it seems very black and white. The green is available for nonprofit organizations, and you're not one. And I don't think it's possible for us to do that for that reason. I do think that there are other options available. I don't know how COVID affects it, but the Guilford Public Schools will allow facilities.
How about the fairgrounds with the pavilions? I mean,
And there's also the Agricultural Society has the fairgrounds property.
And also the Jacobs Beach area can be rented by people for use. I agree with Sue. I want to say yes on this, but the green, once we say yes to one organization like yourselves, we've opened ourselves up to, we'd have to probably potentially change the whole guidelines of the green, because how can you say yes to one and you're a local business owner, you live in Guilford, we want to support you, but then there's probably hundreds of other local business owners that could see using the green in some way too.
Well, my thought on this is because of the extreme circumstances, a lot of businesses in Guilford, I mean, my doors are minutes away from closing. We need this. The restaurants, the stores, everything around the green, you would bring a lot of towns allow for-profit use of their green. I'm not saying it needs to be something that has to stay as a permanent option, but during COVID, you would bring up, I mean, the restaurants, families would book reservations at the restaurants. They would go to the chocolatier. They would use, I have friends that own businesses on the green. It would bring, I was even planning on working together with them so that their businesses could be affiliated in some way and draw attention to their business. So, I mean, I'm never asked to use the green before, so this is my first time, and I was well aware when I applied that there was no for-profit option, but I don't know, maybe it's something we should consider during this difficult time. I would hate to, not that this would make me close my doors, but this would help me keep my doors open, because it would also be a great way for families to see that the spot is actually a place in Guilford that's an option for their children as well. So those are just my thoughts. And
Yeah. Perhaps we could ask the Green Committee to take a look at that idea of, not for the specific request, but just in general of allowing this.
Right. So I agree that this is a big challenge, and how do we deny the next business that comes and asks for the same rights? And that's a challenge. And I'm not sure I'm ready to make that decision today. I would take Sue's suggestion. We'll reach out to the Green Committee to see what their reaction is for a temporary easement during COVID, if you would, of the use of the green for for-profit purposes, and just get to get their input, because they are our advisory board, our advisory committee on all things green related. So. Danny, Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to have the Green Committee weigh in, and maybe even the merchants on the green, around the green, if there's any way, either through chamber or maybe EDC can get a little survey of what the merchants. I mean, I have grave reservations about commercializing the green, but I think it's a valid point that it would be a valuable relief for the citizens to have an event on the green or events on the green as an exception, a one-time use or whatever. But wouldn't it be great to come out of this this past year that we've had, and if we have some optimism going forward, and maybe a couple of events like this, Shakespeare handcraft and a few things like that, I think we all could really use a little relief. But we have to be transparent with the merchants on the Green Committee, the chamber, everybody, to see if really, because it is a gigantic step to commercialize the green. It's not that it hasn't been done before. I mean, the fair used to be on the green not that many years ago. Sue, I'm sure you remember.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it's not so it's not an impossible idea, but it would have to be a carefully thought through process. But I don't know. It's a real struggle. I mean, to me, it seems like a perfect fit for the fairgrounds, but just the mechanics of it with the tent and everything.
Yeah. One more concept about this. Again, I'm not to be critical of the request, but when someone uses the green, particularly when there's a fence around it and everyone's being charged admission, that means my family and I can't go use the green that day. The town residents can't use it because someone else is using it and there's a fence and admission. And it's one thing if it's a nonprofit, it's different if it's a for-profit group. Just one more thing to think about.
Yeah, that really sent up some big red flags for me, the 500 people paying admission. That's a tough one.
I have another thought. If there were a nonprofit, if I were to just cover my expenses and then actually donate the money to a cause somewhere in Guilford, that then changes the whole concept of what the green can be used for.
Now, the regulations are very specific. It has to be a Guilford-based non.
I see. It has to be originated from a Guilford.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, here's a thought. I mean, this is kind of a big production, but I wonder if you could work with a Guilford nonprofit with this idea, and maybe there are other businesses in your same position that might want to be involved with it. Maybe not charge admission.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the most important thing to me would be that this is uniting the community. I mean, it's a circus themed show. It would be children tumbling and dancing. It's just you know, and I could very easily have it in other places. The foot traffic wouldn't be there. It would be just specifically to people that are aware that the event is taking place. And just to me, I wanted to include the whole community. So that's why the green was the first place that popped up into my
What do you
mind.
mean by foot traffic? I thought you said this was a paid admission event.
So this is my logic. So it's under a tent, and the tent would have, it's because I wanted it to be open air for the safety of all people concerned with COVID. I would have seating for people who wanted to have a seat to sit and watch the show. It would be open to anyone who's on the green to watch the performance. And that would be twofold. One, it would be great marketing because they would see what the spot has to offer. Two, it would eliminate a cost for a lot of family members, you know, grandparents, aunts, uncles who don't want to pay or maybe can't afford to pay. They could bring their own seat and sit on the green and watch. And so, and really the cost for the tickets have to cover my expenses. It would be profit wise, just a couple $1,000s for my studio. But it's a big opportunity for these children to show their skills. When you're a sports player, you get to play a game your parents watch. When, you know, there's all sorts of things where parents can participate, family members can come and watch. With a dance studio, it is that one end of year recital, which is usually indoors and it's a couple hours long and there's intermission. I just wanted to make it more accessible as if it were a sporting event. And for anyone who's on the green that day, to watch the kids tumble and listen to the family friendly music and be a part of watching it. So I never considered fencing it off. The family members would have a ticket, they would have assigned seating. Those would be the people that would be allowed to sit on those seats. Anybody else would be open to being a part of watching. And I know they'd enjoy it. Acrobatics is a really fun activity to watch.
Yeah, that sounds like that's, I mean, you got to work out some details there. We've just jumped from a paid event with tickets and everything to, yeah, I think we need a little more information at this
Yeah,
point.
it's like the tree lighting. When you have your stage set up and people come and you have the dancers perform, everyone gets to see. That's a huge, for our businesses.
There's no
when they
paid
see,
admission to that.
there is no paid admission. And again, my paid admission would be for the seats. You would have to buy a seat to be able to sit and watch the entire show. But anyone else would not be restricted from bringing a chair and sitting down and watching it from whatever angle is available.
Yeah.
I want that. That's why I didn't pick the Guilford Fairground. It's a little more out of the way. You wouldn't have as many people on the green. It's a Friday night, you know, in June, 5 to 7. So it would be around dinner time. People could make reservations at Centros, who's a family friend of ours. They can make them at other restaurants all around the outdoor. I mean, I just think it would be it would bring people to the green who might not otherwise have ever really come to our green. Like I said, I have Clinton, I have all the way up in Old Saybrook. I have students, they coming from all over the shoreline.
I think we need to be mindful of COVID as well. I mean, we canceled the tree lighting this year because we couldn't have that kind of a gathering on the green.
That was December though. This will be June.
I know, I sure hope it's different, but I'm thinking about this volume of people, and the shops and restaurants around the green are small. There are capacity restrictions, just some more things to think about.
They could also do outdoor that day. If I worked with all of them, they could have things set up outside. They could have their clothing outside. It could be considered more of an outdoor event as well. We were asked in December to perform, and we were ready to perform. And it was for the very reason to bring people to the stores, but we had a snowstorm. So we couldn't, there was nowhere on the ground we could perform. So, and that was another reason why I thought of the green, because for that very reason, our studio would have brought, if anything, just the family members of my students would have come, which would have brought business to the green.
Okay. So I think rather than vote on it today, and which would probably result in us denying it, why don't we, is there a motion to table it pending further discussion by this board, and perhaps Danielle getting more finite details to us as Charlie has asked for? and our the solicitation of the Green Committee for their input on it, as well as how, how we could legally craft this so that it is at least at the outset is a temporary deviation from the policies related to COVID. So is there a motion to table this item?
I'd like to know what the merchants around the green think of, commercializing the green for maybe just for this summer or something like that. I'd like to
All right.
know. I'll make a motion to table it to get some more information.
I'll make the second, but I have a comment. I don't think we should make Danielle go through hoops with more documentation on her part. I think going directly to Sue's suggestion of taking it to the Green Committee before Danielle works up all kinds of things, and then the Green
Yeah.
Committee says no. And
Right.
because I really think the Green Committee is the next step on this. I mean, it's going to come back to us, I know that, but they are the advisory group. They would absolutely have to be involved in this decision, even if we said yes, I think. So I would rather not put Danielle, I mean, you're welcome, Danielle, to bring as much information as you like, but to make you go out and find all kinds of things and then
I appreciate that.
ultimately be disappointed, because I have a feeling the green is so fraught with rules and ways that we've used it over the years. And you may not have been in town when we had a whole thing about lights on the green. It's almost 20 years ago, but it was a big controversy at the time. So anyway, I think it needs to go to the Green Committee. So I am seconding the motion to table.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Charlie, to your point, and Danielle, I don't know whether you'd be interested in this or not, but tomorrow is at 8 o'clock in the morning is the monthly meeting of the Economic Development Commission,
Okay.
which I usually attend. So I will be in attendance tomorrow morning. You might want to, I'll forward you well, I'll try to find the link. I'm sure I have it somewhere in my calendar. It should be posted on the website, Danielle, but I can certainly forward it to you.
That would be great.
All right, and I'll bring it up at the meeting as well.
That sounds great. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Okay, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
In favor of tabling for more information from the Green Committee.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Thank you all. All right, let me get back to it. Here we go. Committee reports. Anything? I don't have any updates from George on the
I don't
affordable housing.
either. I don't
Okay.
either.
All right, correspondence. In the packet you received, I had a delightful conversation with Lynn Hyman, who I asked her to formalize her request during our conversation. And as you can see, this has to do with changing our noise ordinance to reduce the amount of hours and times that construction can take place. I will say that she admitted that they have been, they have had construction projects on their own property, which have no doubt, impacted the area and the neighbors. But she said they never did weekends or night times. But so just thoughts as to whether or not we want to take a look at changing the noise ordinance or not.
If we did change it, I think there should be some kind of a provision that a construction company would have the ability to ask for a special permission for one weekend, for example, if they were doing something that, I wouldn't want to completely bar them from weekends and holidays, but maybe it needs to be on a case-by-case basis instead of the way it is right now.
Okay,
When's the
Well,
last
she's
time?
not barring them on weekends and holidays. I'm sorry, she's limiting the time. That's what she's doing.
right.
When's the last time the ordinance was reviewed?
I don't know. Hold on, I can get my ordinance book. Tracy can probably pull it up online faster.
I mean, I just, it doesn't seem like this ordinance is that old. I mean, I remember it. It's not that old. Maybe it is time, but I don't know if we should just be doing it on a one-shot basis like this. Take a look at the entire thing and go through the process and see if there are other things that are, I knew that it was driven a little bit by the agricultural fair and that type of thing, but I don't remember any specific complaints other than this one recently.
Yeah.
But,
Doesn't the Agricultural Society have a carve out, I thought?
yeah, that's my point, is that I don't want to just be reactionary to this one thing and change an ordinance based on a letter, you know.
It went into effect July 29th, 2007. I don't think it's been revised since then. But I do know they followed state statutes, so I think you'd have to look at that as well.
That's my point, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like doing a one-shot thing like this on an ordinance in particular. You know, maybe get some police input, what kind of complaints they have gotten, and yeah, I don't think I want to just jump into it. It seemed a little too reactionary, frankly.
Well, that's why I wanted to try to see what you guys were thinking about it.
I think if it's that old, it's over 10 years old, so it's worth taking a look at, but I'd like to get the police input and chamber input and interested parties.
Great. All right, we'll take that.
Planning and zoning, isn't it a planning and zoning ordinance? I kind of remember it coming through that cycle.
Also, the police need to be heard from, obviously, because they're charged with enforcing these problems.
Worth the review. I don't have a problem reviewing it, but I just don't want to do it arbitrarily on a one-shot deal.
Right. Allegedly, there is a section in the ordinance that allows for a variance already, Sandy, in the existing one.
There is one already?
Yeah, 208-10 allows for any person living or doing business in Guilford may apply to town for a variance from one or more of the provisions of the chapter, which are more stringent than the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection regulations for the control of noise. There are a couple of criteria for the thing. So
So if we were to,
how about we'll do a couple of things. One, we'll send you out a copy of the noise ordinance so that you can leaf through it and understand what it says and what it does now. And then Pete and I will take a look at it, see what the statutes do relative to the authority we have to override state statutes, which may be a limiting factor in anything that we contemplate doing, and engage P and Z and the PD for their input. PD will tell you, this is very difficult to enforce because they typically find out about it after it's happened. Well,
I'd just be interested to know the number of complaints.
Yeah. Okay. That sound like a plan?
yes.
Okay, anybody have new business? Old business? Public forum? Hearing none, I'll entertain a non-debatable motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second?
No, we got executive session.
Are we doing the executive session issue?
Okay, needs to be added. We need to add it to the agenda. It's not
No,
on.
it's on the
Oh,
agenda.
there it is. There it is. I got it. Yeah, I'm back to it. Okay. Discuss, item 16, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
You need to include me and Tom Fillion in this executive session, please.
Okay. So all right, we're gonna have to ask everybody to leave, right? Everybody, with the exception of Tom and Mitch Goldblatt to leave. So, as we're inviting the two of them.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Sure. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. In executive session, we discussed an issue related to the donation of sick time for one employee. And
Two
is there a
employees.
motion?
Two employees.
Two employees, I'm
Two.
sorry, two employees, that's right. A donation from one employee to two employees to cover sick time owing to the fact that they have none and would benefit greatly from this donation, which is allowable under our policy related to this issue. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. With that, I don't think there's anything else to conduct. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
And a
Second.
second. Undebatable, non-debatable motion, voice vote? Aye.
Aye.
Thank-
Thank you.
Aye.
Good meeting.
Thank you once again for a really productive meeting.
Good, thank you.
See you, everybody.
Care.
Take care.